welcome to the Transforming Lives Coaching Center podcast. And we are here again on our annual virtual book tour with another superb, dynamic author. This author is an academic author, and she is highly decorated and highly qualified, and we are just so pleased to have her with us today. So thank you for joining us wherever you're coming in from. And as usual, we want to hear all about what you're doing in your side of the world. So our author for today is Yasine Simpson Coburn. She's a dedicated varying exceptionalities teacher at Northwestern Legends Elementary School in Jacksonville, Florida. She is highly accomplished educator, well-decorated lady with a bachelor's degree in special education from Michael University College. With over a decade of experiences in Jamaican education system, she has received prestigious awards such as the Excellence Teaching in Special Education by the Ministry of Education and Jamaica Teaching Council, as well as the Embassy of the People's Republic of China World Teachers Day 2016 Award for Excellence in Special Education. Mrs. Coburn's commitment to special education is evident through her role as a former JTA St. Thomas Special Education Committee chairperson and her authorship of the book The Art and Craft of Teaching Boys to Read, a 21st Century Universal Design for Learning and Skilled-Based Interactive Approach. Passionate about her work and dedicated to improving the lives of children with special needs, Mrs. Coburn's expertise and contributions to the field of education are truly commendable. Please help me to welcome Yasine Simpson Coburn, our academic author, on our virtual book tour. Welcome, Mrs. Coburn. It is such a privilege to have you here with us today. We want to hear all about your story. So let's get to know who is Yasine and where did Yasine grow up? Go ahead, the floor is all yours.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yasine Simpson Coburn, passionate special educator. I'm from Jamaica, hail from the parish of St. Thomas. I was grew up in Bath, and currently I reside in Port Morant, St. Thomas. But my experience in teaching, I wanted to do more, explore more. So it made me channel myself to take up an international teaching job in the US. And now I currently reside in Jacksonville, Florida, where I'm working as a varying exceptionalities teacher at Northwestern Legend Elementary School.
So tell us a little bit about how, where you grew up and how this environment led you to move into the field of special education. After all, this is not a very popular field for educators. Why did you choose to enter this field?
Well, basically, my mom was at the time, she was a Jamal teacher at Jamaica Foundation for Life. She was an assistant there. So that is where it all started because at times they were looking at students with disabilities, teaching read. Jamal is a program that caters for those who can't read. So my mom that's how I first have my knowledge of children with special education. And I grew up in the community of Bath. Is really a close-knit family community where they support each other, believe in education, so as well as my parents believe in us to be educated in order to succeed. So there is where I learn about special education because they are a less fortunate group. And I wanted to help them succeed because I want them to always make a difference. So that is where my passion grew from.
Tell us a little bit about your schooling. How did your prior education, like your primary school, high school, led you to pick up this field of special education?
Oh, okay. I attended Bad Primary School, and from the Bad Primary School, I transitioned to Apple Grove High School. So funny. I didn't choose teaching as my field. I was in for business because I actually like the account and business subject. So there I venture more of in a business because I was in 10 business, 11 business grade. So I love the business subject, especially accounts, because I was really good at accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember my form teacher, when I was in ninth grade, he said to me, why not choose 10 arts? Because 10 arts, those are the subject that I excel at, like the religious education, history, Spanish, those are the subject here. So he said to me, why not choose that area? So I said to him, no, I don't think I like that area. I prefer business because I always want to become a bank manager. I said I wanted to become a bank manager, so I did. From Africa, I did went to Excelsior, come to college, do one associate degree, but then that didn't work out for me. The associate degree with a lot of business subject, because I said I wanted to do a business, become a
Yes.
business bank manager. So and then no, so I said I don't know till I don't know what I really wanted, because it's like was at that time when I was it's choice between and I wasn't sure actually what I really wanted at the time. So I said I got started to navigate business, right? And
Yeah.
like that. So then my father said to me, and my father said apply. I said, no man, Yasine, come on, you have to select what area, what you really want. My father said to me. So I applied to UTech. I applied to UTech because I attained my 6 years in high school. So then I go to Excelsior for all right, English and maths, because I did get those basically. So my father said to me, I applied to UTech, as well as Michael, but I applied to UTech as, I think, family counseling, because I said I want to help person in the area of family counseling. I did an interview at UTech. Then Michael called me. So I did an interview so as Michael, but what I applied at Michael was guidance and counseling, not special education.
Mm.
Special
Mm.
education was my second option. When I got
Mm.
at Micron, they told me that I was selected for special education. I was surprised because at the time, they did an aptitude test. That test,
Yeah.
I think it was test more of your passion, because they're asking like how you would deal with old person, how you'd care for those type
Yeah.
of questions
Yes.
on paper. And when I realized it was special education field,
Mm.
that so literally I say it choose me and not me choosing it, because I said that was my second option. But
Yes. Yes.
when I got selected, I embrace it. I take my study seriously. I
Yeah.
was part of Universal Negro Improvement Association. Apparently, I was the lady president at the time,
Yes.
so I was involved in extracurricular activities as well. But and I was doing some project for at-risk boys in the different communities at the time, where
Yes.
I was them reading. So I say, hey, these kids are at risk. They were like teenagers, because that is where
Yes.
my first reading story started, because he was paying us at the time, even though were doing some extracurricular activities, community voluntary service. He was paying us for how many but hours, all right. So I have to give it to Mr. Stephen Golin. He was the one who started me off with terms of teaching reading and itself as well. So and then I realized I was good at it because I'm a researcher. And at the times I understand boys, especially because I played football. I played soccer for Michael for 3 years. I
Wow.
feel position. And when I was growing up, I was a bit tomboy. So I could understand, I could relate to the feel of boys. I play cricket, I play football, everything have to do with boys. If you tell me play something I don't know about girls, netball I won't play, but soccer, climbing trees and stuff, those are
Yes.
going to
Yes. Yes. Yes.
catching fish, those are stuff that I like and enjoy doing. So basically, that's when I started out. But my career, when I graduated I have some challenge even in Michael. I had some financial challenges. My father
Yes.
started out very good, but at the end, I had this financial challenge. But Michael was so good to me because I was at the time a student counselor. They gave me the opportunity to help me accomplish my study, my degree, and at the time, so when I finished Michael, I entered into the job world. First, I was marked at Mark Bay Primary for eight
Mm-hmm.
months, but I was teaching regular classroom, right? Then at the same time, I got another opportunity at Seaford Primary, a permanent position, because at the Mark Bay Primary School, it was only temporary for 8 months. Then I got an opportunity for my hearing now. special education at the Seaford Primary when at the time Miss Fendel was the principal. So we were interviewed. I was very successful in my interview. So they selected me. When we started out at Seaford, we started out from a humble beginning because we at the time we were we were in a board building, right? With not much ventilation.
I can just
I
imagine. Yes.
so and then no, because we were in a board building, people usually label it say that we were in a fall coop. Jamaicans people at times, because there were little mesh there and stuff. And the former principal and myself worked very hard because we see that the need for infrastructure. So we did a lot of
Very
project
important.
proposal,
Yes.
and luckily, Digital Foundation
Yes.
answered us. It was a perfect building. But I can tell you, even although we were in that board building, the students were very receptive towards learning because majority of it was mostly boys, and we introduced them to technology from a early out. So when we came just fresh from college, we introduced them to technology. We introduced them to interactive games, but a lot of teachers didn't understand what we were doing because special education is new to some. They don't know the heart of it, so they say a lot of things,
Yes.
because
And the
they
person don't
lack the knowledge.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically we were doing something different and they didn't know what we were doing different because these kids learn differently, right? So
Yes.
we were on that with them. Miss Fendel was very passionate about children with special needs. That's what the board building was set up because she saw the need for it. So and I
Yes.
buy into her vision as well and saw the need. So we were doing all we are required to support those kids, and we see that they were very successful. They were able to read because they're coming from not reading to reading. So what we were doing at the time
Wow.
were very effective, and as a result of what we were doing, I think at the time Miss Reed Brown was the regional coordinator at that time, but she migrated. So we started to get education officers such as Miss
Yes.
Addington, because she was our first education officer as Miss Newman. So when Miss Reedburn migrated, Miss Bradshaw came on, but she was Miss Smallhorn at that time. She came
Remember
and saw
her.
what we were doing, and she loved the idea. That's all other unit were developed because of Seaford Primary School idea and what we are doing. She loved it and she ran with it, and so we become a model unit even for the Ministry of Education. Yeah, we come best practices in terms of catering for those needs of students need and stuff. So we get a lot of
Wow.
support in that area because the students were doing well, because you have some student that goes when mainstream and they go on to pass their literacy. At the time it was literacy test, not
Wow.
literacy. So you have students who directly pass grade 4 literacy test from the unit itself without being
That
mainstream.
is commendable. That is commendable. Tell us a little bit about your role as the chairperson of the St. Thomas Special Education Committee to the JTA. Tell us a little bit more about that
Okay,
role.
my role came as a surprise because it was during the pandemic, that was significant. Miss Jacqueline Hendricks White asked me to chair that committee, and I did not regret it. I said yes, I will do. So we embark on a lot of projects in terms of educating the nation and what the different type of disability. And our major project was to promote autism in our
Mm.
parish, which was very successful. Mr. Hendricks was very supportive because he was a JTA president at the time while I was a chair. But it was the brainwork of myself and other on the committee that we came together to do that project. So and therefore it was a very successful project because we were on the national television and
Wow.
printing pamphlets, sharing the information, because children with autism is just unique, and a lot of person don't understand how to cope with those kids and
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
characteristics, because when it comes to autism you have different level, because you have
Yes.
mild, have severe, so you have to know, and they don't what's significant about children with autism is the speech, and they communicate with their environment along with their behavior as well. So it's a very exciting field, but you have to be very knowledgeable about the disabilities
Yes,
as
yeah.
in
And many
order to teach.
Jamaicans don't know a lot about these children, and some of these children are ostracized, they are put aside, they don't attend schools, they're abused, all of that. So how do you deal with all of these issues coming into your classroom? The kids are autistic, they have been abused, they are depressed. How do you deal with all of those issues being an exceptionalities teacher?
It's called caring, because for me, if you look at it, if you're going to judge kids from their disability or exceptional kids, look at the disability, you won't teach them if you're going to look at it that from that angle. First, because children with exceptionalities, what comes with them is a lot of patience, dedication, commitment, and strategies. There's
Yes,
no one strategist in teaching kids with special needs. It requires multiple strategies, but there is just one. There's this particular universal strategy that I utilize. It's called multisensory strategies.
oh, let's a bit more
Yes,
about that. Yeah, go ahead.
that
We
it
want
connects
to know about
all the
that.
different sense organs: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, tactile.
Yes.
But first, for me, teaching kids with special needs require a lot of data.
Mm.
But you have to know the gap, what's called the phonological gaps. Is it phonics or what they have difficulty with, and that is mostly reading, right? Because most, and what's so significant about children with special needs is mostly boys, because that's what
Yes,
really
yes,
concerned me a lot. Why mostly boys are unable to read? Because that is what initiate
yes,
research first, to dig deep on a whole. So I start my journey embarking on a different strategies, different strategies that are research based, proven, that will help my students.
yes.
So that is what I started from first. I'm a teacher that I'm very resourceful. I always doing action research in my class. So it doesn't matter which topic. First I
That
did
is
an
good. It's data. You're
conceptual
led by data.
understanding, just how to
Yes.
help my student dissect the curriculum activities from the curriculum. That is first action research I did. Then I did one on ADHD. I did one. Then my final one was on reading, because the
Mm.
pandemic came in, and I was
Students from
concerned.
home. Yeah.
Yes, how am I going to reach my students? How is it that
Yeah.
I want to teach them to learn? And that's what Jamaica Teaching Council gave me that opportunity. Because at the time I had applied for master teacher. I was a candidate for master teacher in 2018.
Mm.
Get through. I use it as a stepping stone to further my craft. And
Yes.
yes, because I think it was master teacher was because master teacher selection, they're not going to tell you when they are coming to the school. And you have to prepare. It doesn't matter, they tell you the time period of which they were coming, but they did not tell you the specific date at the time where they're coming. So apparently,
That's it.
you know,
That's it.
not. And for teaching, for me, you have to be flexible, and it tell me that you have to be always prepared, because you don't know, and I guess what's it, because I'm good at documentation skills, I tell you. Teaching, which I didn't get at the time. I think they were looking for a different execution, sorry, of differentiated instruction, which I didn't
Yeah.
get at the time. So that is why one of the reasons I said I'm going to explore it a bit further in my
Yes.
reason
Yes.
here in the US,
Yes,
because I
but
want
you
to know
got,
what
yeah,
it
but you
is.
got the experience of it, and
Yes,
that led you. So everything happens to us at the right time and the right seasons to prepare us for the next. So
yes.
you had all of these background experiences. You were instrumental in so many ways in the Jamaican system. What propelled you to move into the US system?
Yes. That is,
Expansion,
yes.
expertise.
I want
Yes,
to learn more about my students, especially when it's come to the IEP process. I really, really
yes,
want to know what it's like. I'm doing IEP. I do my own. I'm very good at writing objectives, goals, carrying out all the IEPs, but there's certain legality towards IEP. I actually wanted to know what are the compliance, when as it relates to having an IEP, what are the whole groundwork of it, what it's like. So
yes.
hence for coming to the US, because I knew if I come here I will get those opportunity that I'm lacking. So and I didn't regret it. It's a privilege, and I learn a lot in terms of, because that's what motivated me even more to write my book on the art and craft craft of teaching boys to read, because I get to know what the IE process is like. I get to do meetings. I get to conduct a lot of meetings with parents. I get to make decision on the MT, that is the multidisciplinary team, where they
Mhm.
tell if a child is eligible for that IEP service. I get to meet advocate, because they can have advocate on, for parents can have advocate
Wow.
that understand the IEP. Yes, so it was a great experience for me, and as well. And there's always this saying, say, dance, you have to learn to dance a yard before you dance abroad, because my experience, Jamaica was my training ground. So I
Yes.
able to transfer those knowledge and skill set that I have to at an international level. So it wasn't difficult for me in terms of when they model what was their system like, because I had to get used to their system.
Yes.
What was
Wow.
it like to write an IEP? And it wasn't so difficult for me, because goals and objectives, because those are two
You
main
had the
areas:
background, you had the discipline,
background,
you
knowledge,
had the
knowledge of
data, yes, you
it.
had the experience. Wonderful. So all of these experiences led you to write your first book. Tell us about your book. Walk us through the chapters of this book, the resources that this book offers, and how parents, teachers, the Ministry of Education, and other stakeholders can use this book to help students with exceptionalities. Go ahead.
Because as a special educator, my students with special educational needs always left behind sometimes, because many don't understand the art and craft and teaching kids with special needs. Also
Yeah,
also when they're in the regular classroom, teachers, as a lot of teachers complain about the difficulty with
they
students
don't
that they
understand.
read,
Yeah.
understand, and stuff like that. So because basically the art and craft of teaching boys reading is a universal design for learning and a skill-based interactive. My book came because I have a passion for my students. I want to really see them succeed and function independently. And what I was doing with them was working. So hence for comfort my book. So I decided to write, because before I write that book, I was involved in a mentorship program. So that is
Mhm.
where it got from, with Jamaica Teaching Council. Because in that
Oh,
mentorship program, yes, we were given different tasks to different activities, because to do a portfolio, right? My action research, because it was required for us to do an action research. So my action research was on evidence-based strategies to teach boys to read in the learning environment. And at the time when I started, we were in the virtual setting because
yes.
of pandemic, right? So that is where I start embarking on factors that contribute to boy reading, how boys learn. So it led me to different areas. It all led me to the inside the reading brain, right? It take me to the
Mhm.
place, because there's not a specific center for reading. It's a connection of different things coming together to
Ah,
read.
the
And I realized,
physiology of it. Yes.
yeah, so I realized that boys learn differently because of all the development process, and I also learned that boys develop on the right side, rapidly
Mm.
on the right side, which
Oh,
does not
I didn't
consist of
know.
the language process system, right? Because speech, we were born with the speech system in place. So girls develop on the left side of the brain, which controls speech. That's why
Each.
you know that when girls talk ahead, way advanced ahead of boys, because they have those systems in place. But for
Yes.
boys, visual, graphical, musical, kinesthetic. All right.
Yes. So
So
boys like to touch and manipulate and
right,
do
yes.
craft. But many persons don't understand that. They don't.
No,
Right. So
that is
we want the
what.
boys to read and do essays, but that's
Yes.
not really what they like to do, right?
Oh, so that's what I wrote my book based upon the approach a teacher should take when teaching boys. So it's basically is an integrative, interactive approach in terms of practical guide aimed at educators, parents, and anyone invested in fostering a love of reading among boys, right? So it addresses the unique challenges of and opportunities of teaching boys with literature and literacy. in a rapid evolving digital age. So I use a lot of
Yes.
technology to support visual support.
Yes.
In
Yes.
this book
Yes.
that we're gonna address the skill set, scope and sequence
Yes.
in terms of explicit instruction. Because what boys more driven on a single focus. They're not multitask. They can't
That
multitask like us as
multitasking.
girls.
Yeah.
No, is they are more single focus driven, and that's where creating my
Interesting.
plan,
Yeah.
fixed plan, because it requires a lot of flexibility though, because it all depends on all the pace at which students learn, because children with exceptionalities learn spacing have to be different. So basically that's how my book
Yeah.
support. It support technology, it support game and competition, it support reading, different reading strategies as well. You talk about the factors that affect boys' learning. In that book, you're going to learn about the phonological module of dyslexia, what causes
Wow.
dyslexia, what are some strategies that you can use to help boys with dyslexia as well. So it's a comprehensive book for boys.
It certainly is because all of these areas we never considered, and I'm sure that there are many educators who are saying, I never knew that this was such a complex
Yes.
concept because we tend to want the boys to sit quietly and to do their essays and to write well, and that's not how they learn. How can
No, because
educators, how can being in the classroom use this book to help them to understand how to deal with boys in the classroom?
educators can utilize this book by purchasing their copy on it's available now on Amazon, and
Wow.
how they can utilize this is that there's a scope and sequence with the different skill, what is start from phonemic awareness right down to reading comprehension, differentiated activities to support boys reading, and it consists of a lot of visual support, technology support, or the boy's brain work in terms of learning, and the as well as universal strategies, research proven based strategies such as multisensory instruction, explicit systematic instruction, differentiated instruction as
Mm.
well. Yeah, those are what.
Quite comprehensive, quite comprehensive. Tell us a little bit more about the different chapters in this book. And what about parents? How can parents use this book to support their children with exceptionalities?
Okay. There are 15 chapters in this book, right? It basically diverse. So you have the background, that is how I started from situation analyst, what in the factors that contribute to writing this book as well. You have factors that are barriers to reading skills. You have genetic, environmental factors. You have factors that societal conditions, socioeconomic status of students. You have biological factors. You have or to build boys reading profile, or do I go and accomplish this? You have interactive instructional strategies. You have school-wide intervention strategies. That's all my administration contribute, as well as what recommendation I would are there that government can do to help students with special education, as well as parents too, or should school should conduct parental involvement session, cater to the learning style, interests of boys when planning
Mm.
instruction. Those are some of the areas. Or can teacher help boys learn? Remedial reading strategies using technology to get boys' interest in literacy, ongoing formative, summative, and analysis of data. Those are evidence, because
Yes,
doing
evidence-based.
you have to do evidence. You have to do evidence, and you have to
Yeah,
use
the
a lot of
evidence is
data,
important.
because
Yes.
data is so significant in terms of helping you planning how to if your child is moving, making progress, or to be flexible, if the skill set is mastered by that particular student, what should I do next? And you have to use data to do those things, because data is so significant in the learning process. So it's ongoing, it's flexible. Flexible grouping is important, because
Yes.
there's no one way of grouping student, because student will perform, you realize that this particular student is perform below the grade level, and when you do the data is move up, so you'd have to move that student to know in a different, in different groups, to support. And you see where a lot of different echo reading audio books support boys,
Yes. Yes.
learning platform for boys, and what you have some AI tools that are put in the scope and sequence, such as Neuropod, Kahoot. Those are supporting learning evidence for boys, as well as a
Wow.
variety of resources and link to different reading platforms. So
Excellent. Excellent. So tell us a little bit about your business as an educational consultant.
yes, my business as an education consultant, I'm hoping to be consulted on the different gives support to teachers, especially in the regular classroom, who have
Yeah.
difficulty teaching boys, especially when it comes to behavioral problems. Because I know a lot of behavioral resources in terms of I've utilized them myself, both where am I now, in internationally and in Jamaica, some behavioral support, because yeah, in my book too you have motivational strategies such as if then statement, or that is utilized in the classroom. You have
Yes.
visual schedule management, which is so effective for students with
Mm.
ADHD, autism, so parents too can utilize those as well. And I also have check in and check out, because check in and check
Mm.
out, but the what with check in and check out is that it's driven by, you have to use data, you have to be making points and incentive. Yeah, it can be used for a control group, especially those who have severe behavioral problem, and yes, to support that. But there are also other significant which behavior strategies such as FBA, functional behavior assessment, which target the real behavior. It that
The
targets
root
the
cause of
specific,
the behavior.
the cause, and that's, I think, teachers, that's where teachers need to be going.
Yes, to
Positive
find the
behavior
root.
support
Yes,
plan.
yes.
And if the positive behavior support plan is not working, you move forward to the functional behavior assessment to help correct those behavior as well. So
So
those
how,
are,
yeah, yeah, really interesting. How can persons contact you if they need your services? How can they contact you?
they can contact me at 904-755-6026. They also can contact me on my Instagram page at Special Guru. They can follow my page also, that is on YouTube as well as Special Guru, or they can email me at Yasine Coburn at gmail.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. So give us a few last words before we log off of this podcast that that can encourage parents, educators, and other stakeholders to purchase your book and to use your services.
Yes. Um, just to remind parents and other and educators out there that hope is not all lost. We still have a long way to go to get it right for students with special education in terms of the 2030 vision, Jamaica 2030 vision. And I hope
Yes,
Jamaica government get it right in terms of students with special needs, because normally these students are always left behind.
yes, yeah.
I want to see a more inclusive education system for these kids, as well as parents to get more involved, advocating, saying something, advocate for your child in terms of finding out their development process. Don't afraid to ask the doctors the necessary question, whatever doctor you take them to, in terms of their development process, because that will get you ahead. If you know what are the red flags. If
Yes.
my child is mastering each milestone in the developmental process as well. And I always tell my children that, my parents, that children are precious gift from God. It's just that, remember, students learn differently. Don't talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
disability. Children learn differently. So, and I always tell my students, whenever they come to my classroom, I'm teaching the brightest set of kids in the world. I'm teaching the bright, and we're gonna prove that they are the brightest kids in the world. That's what I always tell my boys, especially my boys, to motivate them. And as such, they were here. But some of them, even when they are mainstream, they I put them
Outperform.
at an advantage in terms of reading. They are reading. Sometimes they are reading all ahead of the students or in the regular classroom. That's how
Yes.
I'm passionate
Commendable.
about. I am about my students and their reading ability. So, and remember that one size doesn't fit all. It
That is
might be,
commendable.
yeah, one size
Does
doesn't
not
fit
fit all.
all.
Every
Does
student,
not fit
student
all.
is unique, and we should approach
Yes,
their learning as unique as they are, especially our boys. Thank you so much, Mrs.
yes.
Coburn, for coming today on our podcast, and we would love for you to continue to promote your work. It is an awesome book, and I'm sure that it will bring a lot of content and materials and data, evidence-based information to our school systems. Thank you once more, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me. It was a privilege talking to you, Mr. Charles. Yeah.
Okay, join us another time on the Transforming Lives Coaching Center podcast, where we will be interviewing other exceptional authors. Walk good.